Hi there, Zamir for NerdTube. These are my thoughts and spoilers of Mobland Season 1, Episode 9, The Beggar's Banquet. So let's just cut straight to the end of this episode because it kind of brings the beginning of this episode to the end regarding who this rat is. Now, I did say it was Maeve last week, which is why Harry D'Souza threw that guy Stevenson off a building so he could keep that revelation to himself. Now, that revelation was done off camera, so we don't really truly know who it is. But I thought it was Maeve, because Maeve was the one who set up, obviously, Serafina and Brendan. So it kind of made sense. But Maeve gave away that information at the end of this episode, revealing it to everyone, saying, yeah, I did try to get Serafina killed. But the fucker Hyman, I think that's his name, ended up killing, Brendan instead. And by being very open about it, when they're all arguing at the dinner table, in a way, kind of proves that Maeve isn't the rat. So, who is? That's O'Hara Delaney. Now, she was the beautiful lawyer who likes to have her baps out. And Harry rings her up quite soon after going on about all this rat information. This kind of tells us, the audience, that O'Hara Delaney is the fucking rat, the lawyer of the Harrigans. And Harry is trying to arrange a meeting with her for next week's episode, which will be tomorrow, regarding the timeline of this show. So we'll see if that actually happened at this meeting, because I personally think, being a mob lawyer, you got to have your wits about you, and if you know you're about to get whacked, then you better not attend meetings you shouldn't be attending, especially those isolated meetings, maybe in a barn somewhere, which is what I believe will be happening to O'Hara if she does meet Harry. So I think she knows that her time is up. I think she knows that maybe the Harrigans are aware that she's the mole, the rat, so to speak. And we'll see how that pans out next week. So I kind of got two things covered in one there regarding the rat and that meal at the end. And that meal at the end had some crazy revelations. Alice, being the undercover cop, we already know that she is. She's been asked by Tattersall, a.k.a. Toby Jones, to do some dirty work. Now, Tattersall knows about Alice, knows that she's planted evidence before, so he wants her to plant evidence again. And if she doesn't, then she'll fucking ruin her life. So when Alice goes to that dinner with the Harrigans do interrogate her, but she runs off kind of all like upset and scared from the dinner table. And she uses that moment to grab a glass that Conrad was drinking out of earlier. And then also this glass happens to have the cigar butt that Conrad was smoking from. So it has Conrad's DNA. And I believe she's going to use this DNA evidence to incriminate Conrad and make him the killer of those two cops Richie Stevenson killed last week. That is pretty much the main elements of this episode. There's some other smaller bits. Actually, sorry, there's one significant thing as well. Kevin killing the rapist. And that was a major part of this episode too. The guy, the prison warden who raped him when he was a kid, and he pretends to be this prison warden's Uber driver so he could take him home, and then when he gets to the guy's home, he asks if he could use the guy's toilet. The guy does, and Kevin is kind of like sitting in his toilet now with a gun, fighting his own personal demons, whether he should kill this guy or not. Does he let him go? But he's been talking to this dude whilst they were in the car together, and in a way, he almost not necessarily bonded with him, but he kind of humanized him to Kevin, this monster who raped him. So when Kevin has an opportunity to kill him, he doesn't, and unfortunately, this guy Rusby, that's the name of the prison warden, the ex-prison warden, he offers Kevin some tea, and then this in a way was a bad thing, because now Kevin's not leaving the house, so he now goes ahead with his plan of just confronting this dude, and this dude, who's like kind of losing his memory a little bit, basically asks Kevin for his forgiveness, says that he found Jesus and all of this, and Kevin is like really torn on whether to kill him or not, but eventually decides not to kill him. But this fucking idiot, he's got away with his life, and he's been told to disappear. But he decides to go back and speak to Kevin again and ask Kevin, do you have any children? Which triggers Kevin big time. And then Kevin just says, fuck this, and kills Rusby by putting a bullet in the front of his head. Comes out the back of his head. And the reason being, as I mentioned last week, is that Eddie Harrigan is not his son, but his fucking brother. You know, he has no children of his own. His wife is the fucking mother of his brother. It's crazy, huh? And his fucking dad is the fucking father. Crazy, crazy shit. But there you go. Some other little things here and there. We have Maeve speaking to Harry's daughter, whose name escapes me at this moment in time. She doesn't want Harry's daughter seeing Eddie Harrigan. Doesn't want riffraff like her, you know, being with the future king, and kind of scares Harry's daughter to a degree. She is kind of rattled by all of this, but you know, when all of these different family members are living under this one fucking household, they are going to get all rattled, and the tensions are going to start to flare and stuff like that. So it's understandable. There was some major trolling by Maeve later on in this episode when she asked Eddie to go visit Harry's daughter when she didn't come down for dinner at the end of this episode, which is just masterful trolling by Maeve, considering she told her to stay away from Eddie Harrigan. Anyway, Eddie, Harry, if I've got some of those names mixed up, please forgive me, I do apologise. And finally, Bella, her storyline regarding this French dude, which is, honestly, I think if anybody finds this interesting whatsoever, what the fuck's wrong with you? Nobody does. Nobody cares about any of this, and even though they're trying to make it a lot deeper by having her father involved, who's a politician, and now the Secretary of State, I believe, involved in this meeting for God knows fucking what, and who fucking cares. I'm sure some of this will be expanded upon and in the finale next week, but I don't fucking care. And actually, there is one more thing to bring up. Now, if his name is not Hyman, forgive me. I keep thinking his name is Heyman or Hyman or whatever. But the Mexican dude, you know, Cat McAllister, who's going to take away Harry from the Harrigans, because obviously Harry's fed up with them because they're all fucking stupid. The Harrigans, that is. She arranges a deal, a get-together, a meeting between this guy Hyman and the Harrigans. And Conrad is there for that meeting, to lead that meeting. It's in the pub in the social spot. And Conrad obviously has a chip on his shoulder because this fucker killed his son. And at the same time, Conrad also humiliated this guy's dad when they were younger. And so when it comes to the meeting between the two, it doesn't go too well necessarily. But Serapina did tell him, Hyman that is, that look, you know, we'll give you double what you asked for regarding the fentanyl that you were going to sell to Richie Stevenson. We'll pay you double for it. So if that does pan out, then great, you know, for the Harrigans, you know, getting more fentanyl, fuck knows what, I have no idea. You know, do you make cocaine out of that shit or heroin? I have no idea. Let me know if you guys are junkies like that. But I think I pretty much covered some of the main aspects of this episode regarding all of these bits and bobs. Serapina is really standing out for me. If the Harrigans are going to succeed, it might be her as the successor. Kevin's kind of emotionally damaged. Brendan's a fucking fool and he's dead. Eddie Harrigan, he's fucking crazy, and that might be the right sort of crazy if he's a chip off the old block like his dad in Conrad. But the wise old fox is definitely Serapina, which is why, in my opinion, Maeve gave the cat out the bag, so to speak, because she's jealous of Serapina. Serapina's a very smart woman, and but Serapina also happens to be a bastard child, and it's not Maeve's kid, it's somebody else's, which is why Maeve is pissed off. So yeah, we'll see how all of this pans out next week regarding the finale. We're on to the finale, and Harry D'Souza had a real backseat in this episode. He's just there mourning and mumbling and chatting to himself and deliberating, because I do feel he'll jump ship. I do think he's pissed off with the Harrigans. As I said earlier, if it is one real successor, it could be Serapina, but that might not work for him himself. You know, you can see Conrad and Maeve, you know, Maeve being the shit stirrer that she is, and Conrad being quite mad. And obviously Kevin just being quite elusive, doing his own thing, you know, and doesn't like the idea of ever working for Eddie Harrigan, you know. So, and obviously Brendan's dead, and Brendan was never smart enough. He was afraid of the fucking group. So, yeah, we'll see where Harry goes as well in the future. Let me know what you think of this episode. I give it an 8 out of 10. Look forward to the finale. It's a shame this season is ending. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest social media channel you never heard of. Take care. Bye-bye.